Another few months. Joining us right now. It's been this guy's been in the bubble now a while. We were talking about him yesterday, what the Sam Amick plan is going to be when he gets home. Nice enough to be up and ready for us this morning. Don't know if it's because of Little Face Coffee or whatever's going on over there. The one, the only, the Athletic writer. I mean, he writes for The Athletic, not The Athletic writer. Sam Amick. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning, Dave. Are you accusing me of having a cushy poker player's build?
Dude, if you were writing that article now, that horrible hack piece you did about 10 years ago, I think it would be more like a cushy, it would be like a cushy professional eating champions build. I was about 20 pounds lighter when you wrote that article. That's what's so sad.
I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
All right, I shouldn't have gone there.
You're actually not. That's okay, because here's where I went yesterday. I said, I talked about how we're buddies and how I love your family and how you've been gone. And I said, I don't know because of school and all the complications. I might have set you up here. Because I said, I don't know what, if anything, Sam has planned when he returns home. I just try to put myself in your position and how my wife and kids would be. And you have a wonderful support system there. On one hand, I would imagine the only thing you'd want to do when you get home would be to sleep in your own bed and get annoyed by drunk neighbor John next to you, who, by the way, reports that your kids washed your car but left your wife's car dirty. So I don't know. That's just the newest report.
Did he leave out? Did he leave out why they washed the car?
No, he didn't. Or I mean, he did leave it out. Yeah, he did leave. Why did they wash the car?
Oh man, John didn't mention that he pretended we were in middle school again, and he might have drawn the male anatomy on my car. No, and your kids saw it. No, John, dude, come on, John. Was that? Do you think that was Moscow Mule motivated? Was that the Triple M? It might have been.
Oh, man.
Listen, they're old enough. They're getting sex ed in school,
I understand that, but my goodness. So I am curious.
It's a good motivator, though. It worked.
Maybe he just needs, I don't know. I'm not advocating your neighbor drawing wieners on your wife's car, but maybe he needs to do something like that to get. And by the way, when you do that, have you ever noticed the oil from your finger for a while stays even after it's washed? So, like, for example, if it gets cold and foggy in the future, you're going to be driving around and it's going to be like disappearing ink. All of a sudden, a dong is going to show up right on your window. You realize that.
I love the fact that you started with when you do this. You just outed yourself.
I might have done it a couple of times. but when you return home, don't you kind of have the split between I just want to come home, I want to sleep in my bed, I want to hug my kids, I want to hug my wife, and also the pressure of I gotta do something with we gotta go somewhere, we gotta do something. It's not going to be an easy position, I would imagine.
No, I mean, yeah, it's just kind of. Just to be honest with you, it's a little overwhelming.
Yep.
Just to get there. Like that's, like that. I know I've told you before, but man, it's a very real thing to be in this bubble for this long. And now what you're hearing is people, colleagues and friends and everything here are just starting to kind of talk about how, like I told somebody yesterday, I was like, man, when this thing happened, it started in July, the bubble. I said, we still had some hope that on the back end in October that maybe the virus would calm down. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and so that part is really real because you guys have all been having to continue to deal with, whatever the impact is on your daily life. And we've been living, I've been living now a different reality since August 22nd, basically.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, Dave, yesterday I might have had one of the highlights of the whole bubble experience, but it also underscores the type of stuff that will not be taking place at home. I teamed up with a great guy named Ben, who's a statistician for the Dallas Mavericks. He's working for the league out here. He was my pickleball partner, and even though I'm not very good, we somehow knocked off the great Scott Foster and Monty McCutcheon.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like that type of a thing, it's like, oh, that was fun, that was so great, and then it's just like, yeah, that ain't happening in a couple of days,
Right.
So it's just getting home, and even I'm not really excited at all about just the airport experience because I need to get home clean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been tested negative every day for however many days now. But
is it the nose one, by the way, the one that hurts or seems to hurt?
No, it's weird. So it's the back of the throat, but I tell you, it sure makes me question like the need for like the nose one that I did before the bubble for personal purposes. Like they jammed it up there and it was fairly uncomfortable. Out here, they kind of lightly dab the inside of your nose and they lightly dab the back of your throat. Like it's not a big deal. So it just kind of makes me wonder, like, which one is necessary, because we're still getting negative tests. But yeah, it's the swab up the nose, and then they take a little sample from the back of your throat.
Sam, let's
anyway.
Go ahead.
Finish your thought.
No,
finish your thought.
Getting home, man. Like that's, I have no idea once I get there. I mean, honestly, we did a good job of keeping the home front together for the most part. And then sure enough, last night, wife wasn't thrilled with me when we found out that I didn't pay the Wi-Fi bill and nobody had internet. Like that type of stuff, falls apart because life is just different. So, just getting home is the focus.
Auto pay, my friend. Auto pay.
I know.
Makes a big difference. Yeah. Sam, let's transition from bubbles and dongs over to Kongs, as the iPhone autocorrect likes to say.
What a transition. Good for you, Jake.
Sacramento Kings hire Alvin Gentry. Sam, I think this came surprising to a lot of people, given that, there was talk that Alvin was going to possibly join Doc Rivers' staff. Kind of lay out for us how this whole thing went down.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised too. I thought he might go to Philly. I thought maybe if Ty Lue got the job with the Clippers, maybe Alvin would go there. Luke and Alvin were very close during their Warriors days. There's a lot of trust there. I even heard a story yesterday about like Kings people kind of seeing Luke and Alvin interact during the bubble experience, when New Orleans was here with the Kings and people kind of getting a sense of their rapport. So, it's a great pickup. And I think that, first and foremost, it fortifies Luke's staff in the kind of way where, Igor Kokoskov was obviously a former head coach. And so you get to continue with that model where, a lot of teams do that where you've got, a head coach and then an associate head coach that has head coaching experience. But then I'm curious, you've got Alvin, a guy who's certainly offensive minded, and Luke is a guy who, if he's going to pick one of the two, he's probably going to preach defense first. So that balance would seemingly be good. And the one thing I don't have a ton of insight on, and honestly, Dave, I wonder if you've heard much, is, Alvin's past experience with Buddy Hield in New Orleans, and just the question of whether or not, is that just connecting a dot that doesn't exist, or is there any chance that might help kind of massage a situation that's obviously not ideal right now?
I asked that if he was going to be the Buddy Whisperer, basically, and was told that could be a peripheral effect, positive. But that this was, because when I first heard the news, Sam, I thought, oh gosh, that's not a great message to send to Luke Walton. He's got one more year, I think 2 more seasons on this deal, I guess, and then the fourth is a team option. It's already kind of a hot seat, and a lot of the thought is even if they wanted to make a move, they wouldn't because of finances. That's what really blew me away. I didn't think the Gentry thing was going to happen because I when you look at the fact they're still going to be paying Vlade like $7 million over the next 3 years. Then they went around and got Monty McNair for whatever, but you got to assume it's around $2 million a year, which is pretty standard. And now they bring in a guy like Gentry who's not making
coming in lower than that, but yeah.
Say that again.
I think it's coming in lower than that.
Oh, okay. Well, then there you go. And then Gentry's not making what Luke is, but it's an associate head coach job. He's an NBA style head coach. That's got to be another couple right there. This is a team that's doing cash calls. This is a team that owners were hoping and were expecting dividends for the one of the first times this year. And coronavirus and real estate investments. This is a team like many others that is not cash flush, but they've made the moves. They bring in Gentry, and I was told, I'm sure same as you, this is not a clock watch on Luke. This is not Alvin peering over his shoulder. This was Luke's hire. he wanted Alvin. He and Monty went and got him. And then I also heard Joe Dumars was perhaps very instrumental because he has a very close relationship with Alvin as well. I don't know if that matches what you heard, but that's kind of the overall what we were talking about yesterday, what we've heard out of the Kings.
Yeah, I mean, other than I didn't hear the Joe component. It was definitely Luke's hire, and really the thing about the way Luke was brought on, he's got a lot of say in his coaching staff, and so even with the hot seat type of reality that just comes with any NBA head coach, this was 100% his hire. And again, the trust level is the thing that makes it work. And I think it'll be good. I think that the other thing that helped them out was, my understanding is that Alvin will certainly still be getting paid by the Pelicans, and so once you factor in those finances, then I think that's how you end up getting a guy like that over the finish line in terms of getting a deal done.
Sam Amick from The Athletic joining us this morning. Sam, we still got a lot of coaching vacancies in the NBA right now. New Orleans, Houston, the Clippers, the Pacers, all pretty high-profile vacancies. Are you hearing any traction on any of those jobs right now?
I hate to admit it, Jay. I'm a little. I need to get back on that beat. One of the problems with the bubble is you end up kind of feeling more like a beat writer, where we're just covering the finals, and you don't end up making the phone calls that you did before, because we're doing practices and games and practices and games. So, I know that I saw this yesterday from one of our guys in Houston that Kenny Atkinson had interviewed out there. So they're still going through their process. Jeff Van Gundy, Ty Lue, those types of names. I wonder with the Rockets, John Lucas III would be an unorthodox, but I think I'm almost kind of rooting for that one. I think it'd be interesting to see. Yeah. Because he's just we learned during the bubble experience, he was actually pretty vocal at that players meeting back on August 26th, when you had, hundreds of players in the room. You okay there, buddy?
I thought I turned my mic off. What, did you hear me clear my throat? Sorry, go ahead.
All good.
Smoking.
And so he was really outspoken, and just kind of, I learned a little bit about how much players respect him during the bubble experience, because they, from what I heard, the room kind of fell silent and they wanted to hear what he had to say. So I'm curious if maybe John gets a shot in Houston. But yeah, still a lot of vacancies and a lot of moving parts for sure.
Sam Amick with us. I love the John Lucas idea. I think he beyond deserves it, and he is absolutely revered by players. The amount of work he has done, obviously off the court and even out of basketball, is ridiculous, and that would be an amazing homecoming for him in Houston. Speaking of Houston, though, the Jeff Van Gundy's name has been mentioned multiple times, and I know this is a sloppy comparison here, but I'll make it anyways. For years and years, teams tried to get John Gruden back in the game. And he was a high-profile commentator on Monday Night Football and seemed very, very comfortable there. I feel like that's become Jeff Van Gundy in basketball. You hear his name pop up for major jobs every couple years, and he loves his job working the booth. Do you think Jeff Van Gundy will return to coaching sooner rather than later, if at all?
I mean, his name being in it is very real, but I don't know. It's because I can't really account for where Jeff's threshold is in terms of interest and salary and and power and all those things. I do think one kind of underreported element of his candidacy is, I have heard some stuff about him wanting to have some front office say if he came back. And so that could be, I'm not sure that would be available to him in Houston. So I don't know. I mean, he's a guy who was on the Rockets' radar back when they hired Mike D'Antoni. Not even just on the radar. He was Daryl Morey's first pick. And Les Alexander was the one who kind of advocated for Mike. And ultimately, Daryl was, definitely good with the Mike hire. Mm-hmm. But that always stuck in my mind is that, I thought at that time that Jeff was definitely getting the Rockets job. Now, I don't know how that all plays out now because, we've kind of talked before about Daryl's had a bit of a tough year on the optics front between the Hong Kong situation and then the team falling flat again. So I don't know if he might have kind of marginally less juice than he did when they had their last coaching hire. So But I think Jeff's going to get back in. But I think, I don't know. Maybe it's one of those things where he has the ability to be so demanding that he's just never going to find the right fit.
Sam Amick joining us. I guess we should probably ask you about, the NBA Finals before you go. You're a journalist, that's fine, but as an expert on the NBA game, does this series, in your opinion, end tomorrow?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would be shocked, and you would have a lot of bubble citizens who were disappointed if it didn't.
Yeah. I would imagine. Oh, no, I didn't even think about that. That's 98% of the people in the bubble, not in the Heat orbit, are very much rooting for a shorter series. Is everybody kind of getting, what's the term in high school, senioritis, where you're just waiting, like,
big time, yeah.
trying to get out of there?
Well, because there's, logistics, too. We've already gotten all these emails about how to vacate your room and how, believe me, Disney wants to start making money on these hotel rooms, immediately. And so, and man, I tell you, the poor people who have to clean some of the players' hotel rooms. I heard a few stories the other day about, you put some, I'm sure not all of them. I'm sure, Russell Westbrook reportedly left an $8,000 tip for a housekeeper, which is a pretty kind gesture. But I heard some other horror stories about players who, left chicken wings in the corner of their room and maggots were getting on them.
God.
It's kind of inevitable. You got a bunch of young guys that you put them in basically an apartment for a couple months and had a crazy schedule, and, maybe you leave stuff behind. But, yeah, it's the whole process. It is a process. So, even with me, I got to pack, but on the way out, I packed so much, I packed too heavy and had to pay an extra fee because my bag was too heavy. Well, ever since then, I'm giving you way too much info, but
I don't want it.
I got shamed by some colleagues because they said my jeans were too baggy. So I've bought I just leaned into it and I bought 4 pair of jeans since I left. So now I'm coming home with way more clothes than I came with. So those types of things, how am I going to get everything home? How am I going to get to the airport, transportation, all that stuff. So you try to set that up, and then lo and behold, the Heat win Game 5, and it's just oh, geez, now we got to do it all over again. So it's a lot.
I'm sitting here wondering, do you think Disney will actually market when they reopen the hotels? Do you think they'll let prospective hotel goers know that they could, hey, you could rent LeBron James's suite and maybe name off whoever stayed in those rooms? I wonder if that's a marketing ploy that would work.
I don't know. It seems a little creepy, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
This is where LeBron and his wife laid.
Right? LeBron pooped in this bathroom. You could stay here.
Really personal.
Yeah, speaking of pooping in bathrooms, final segue here. Your neighbor created a Twitter account to send me a photo. Now, I want to be clear. This is simply the back window. There are no identifying features here of the car with said wiener drawn on it, and then the message "clean me." My question to you is, I'm purposely not saying the name of the Twitter account. Should I just leave it alone, or would you have a privacy issue if I tweeted it as an example of the pranks being pulled?
Yeah, as long as my license is not on it, and as long as
your license plate's on it, and the address is in the background. But
sweet.
Other than that, I think your social security number is in the back of the car.
No, I just would like to share here on live radio that John lives at.
This is our final time. Go ahead.
John's phone number. I should give John's phone number right now.
You really should. I will allow it. Sam, right. This is, I believe, regardless of what happens in this series, this is our final conversation with you from the bubble. I will tell you right now, please do take next Thursday off, and you and I will discuss whether the following Thursday or the Thursday. We'll do a wrap-up show, but it's very important to me that you have all the time you possibly can to reacclimate, both with your Sacramento life and your family as well. You will see that your children have grown while you were gone and all that fun stuff. So I don't know when we will talk to you next. I hope it is soon, but have a safe trip. Enjoy the rest of your time there.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
All right, take care. That is Sam Amick from the bubble.